Hi everyone, this is Dr. Anamta Rizvi, and today we are going ahead with the part 2 of our Renaissance lecture. Okay, so मैंने जो series शुरू किया है, I will be discussing the entire history of English literature, where we will be discussing the socio-political, literature, literary aspect, cultural aspect, everything. So there have been lectures जो मैंने briefly describe किया है, but now these lectures, which will be covering all the ages, be it Renaissance, Restoration age, then comes the Augustan age, and then Romantic age, Victorian, modern, so on. Every age will be dealt in great detail for all of you, so that आपको एक बहुत comprehensive, holistic understanding of all the ages. Okay, so without any further delay, my first part of the lecture has already been is already uploaded. So if anybody has not watched, do give it a watch. And this is the second part of the series of the Renaissance age. Right. All right. So guys, over here, as we can see, we will be going ahead with drama before Shakespeare. तो last time तक हम लोगों ने discuss किया था किस तरह से the genre of drama came on the Elizabethan stage, Elizabethan era. Okay, so this became a very focal point of discussion last time when we were discussing किस तरह के drama आ रहे थे. There was Gobuduck, there was Royal Doster, and all those plays. Comedy भी था, tragedy भी था, and how these plays kind of paved the way for a drama that flourished during that time. We all know कि Elizabethan period में drama बहुत flourish किया था, so we are going to look at that. Now the most important, before Shakespeare, guys, before Shakespeare came up on the stage, there was actually, some dramatists जिन्होंने इतना set कर दिया था stage that an audience was built. किसी भी genre को एक flourish करने के लिए, prosper करने के लिए, you need to have a certain audience. So these dramatists, that is the drama before Shakespeare, they were university wits. Why were they called university wits? We'll discuss this. So university wits were the ones who came before Shakespeare, and they were the ones to set the stage and make an audience. And jab Shakespeare आए, then the genre of drama unprecedentedly rose to another level. So this is how the genre of drama began. So yes, a group of educated playwrights from Oxford and Cambridge, they were known as the university. So ये जो playwrights थे, now understand this, that drama became a very viable, a very commercial source of income for a lot of people, because लोगों को entertainment चाहिए था. England was prospering, things were nice, so they wanted entertainment, and hence people started becoming dramatists for real. They started getting into professional dramatism. So this became Oxford and Cambridge, known as the university wits, helped shape early drama. Key figures कौन से थे? Christopher Marlowe, very important, a very key figure. Robert Greene, George Peele, Thomas Nashe, and Thomas Lodge. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dramatists were really famous as the university wits. They wrote exceptionally great drama, especially Christopher Marlowe. He wrote excellent drama. He was the one to bring blank verse in tragedy and give very powerful dramas, which are still, of course, relevant today and read today. So now they brought classical influence into popular theatre and made plays more engaging, more entertaining for the audience. Classical influence मतलब ये लोग बहुत पुराने प्लेस के इंस्पिरेशन लेते थे, मॉडर्नाइज करते थे कंटेम्प्रेरी वर्ल्ड में, मतलब अपने दुनिया के तरीके से उसको मॉडर्नाइज करते थे, एंड दे यूज्ड टू प्रेजेंट सच काइंड ऑफ प्लेस. Okay, so over here, can you see the university wits? They are the one discussing, having a good time. Now, Shakespeare was not in the scene during that time. Early forms of drama, तो अगर हम लोग देखा जाए, that the comedy and tragedy were the main two types of drama that emerged. Okay, इसके अलावा कोई या कॉमेडी या हंसाने का होता था या ट्रेजेडी होता था. Comedies were inspired by Latin writers. So comedy किससे इंस्पायर हुआ था? Comedy plays were inspired by Latin playwrights, especially Terence and Plautus, and this is long time back, way back, thousands and hundreds of years back, if not thousand, but 100 years of back. Terence and Plautus, they were Latin writers. Tragedy were influenced by Seneca and Greek drama. Seneca कहाँ के थे? वो ग्रीस के थे और Greek dramatists थे. Seneca ने क्या लिखा था? Tragedies, bloody, gruesome, and a lot of murders happening on the stage. That was Senecan tragedy. And medieval miracle and mystery plays also contributed to the drama's development. So of course there was medieval play, miracle plays. मतलब miracle plays और morality plays वो होते थे जो चर्च के बाउंड्रीज में परफॉर्म होते थे. Why? Because they were narrating, they were actually enacting biblical stories to moralize the people, to give them good information about the Bible. तो इन सब फैक्टर्स ने बहुत पॉपुलराइज करके ड्रामा को एक one of the most significant crucial source of entertainment बना दिया. Now, medieval influences on Renaissance drama, elements such as broad humor, ballet, poetry, dance, music, this all came from the medieval English plays. Okay, so this all was already there. Symbolism and allegory were common features in English drama, and then drama became a tool for expressing English nationalism and Protestantism. So one thing is very important for us to understand always is literature, art, drama, cinema, whatever we have, any kind of such performance, be it art, culture, literature, they are very important tools, weapons to form national identity. Now, जब ये drama perform होते थे, masses used to watch them. There were huge audiences. जो theaters होते थे, वो jam-packed होते थे. It used to be flooded with people. So, इनका जो enacting होती थी, अगर उसमें national identity के elements लाते थे, तो of course there used to be a very strong development of patriotic fervor in within the hearts of the English people. Why would it not be? So drama जब perform होते थे, national identity को formulate करने में, उसको एक framework बनाने में बहुत important role play किया. तो yes, national identity, and yes, the pride that they were Protestants, okay, that they were not Catholics, they were Protestants, that also kind of engraved a lot within their hearts because of the drama. Because drama का one of the किसी ना किसी तरीके से project होता था, strengthening in the unity, the national identity, religious fervor, it all was there, drama of that Renaissance period. Then moving ahead, over here you can see the role of theatre in the society. We know that how role of theatre plays such a profound role in the society. So theatre became a public space for discussing social and political issues. This is always there, that wherever people would be there, there would be discussion. So it became a space, it became a place wherein intellectuals used to meet, elitists used to meet, even working class, they used to have some discussion that, okay, did you see what this play talked about or something? There used to be discourse and development of some discussions. The period is known as the golden age of English drama due to its richness and impact. Such strong impact, such strong richness, such strong substance to the plays was there that, yes, of course, this age, Renaissance, is known as the golden age of drama. Link between medieval morality plays and later drama. We need to understand one more thing, that the 4 pp by John Heywood connected medieval morality plays with later comedies. These were the interludes. इसको ना interludes बोलते थे. Okay? ये जो interludes होते थे, ये छोटे छोटे कॉमिक skits होती थी, you can say, और ये entertaining होती थी. तो morality plays, medieval plays जो होते थे, वो थोड़ा सा religious होते थे. And mystery plays, ये बाइबल की कहानियाँ बताते, saints की कहानियाँ, Jesus Christ की कहानियाँ, बाइबल में जो morality के किस्से हैं, उनको they used to enact them, and this is how that they used to teach the people out there. But एक link, आप फौरन एकदम religious angle से आप you cannot suddenly jump to an entertaining angle. There has to be a link. So what was that link that shifted धीरे धीरे from religious to entertainment? And that was interludes. Interludes, especially the 4 pp by John Heywood. जॉन हेवुड बहुत अच्छे इंटरलूड्स लिखते थे. इंटरलूड्स एक छोटे स्किट्स होते थे जो कि जैसे कि अब आप बार बार से मोरालिटी के बारे में बात करते तो लोग बोर हो जाते थे. तो इंटरलूड्स ना एक छोटे से स्किट्स होते थे जो एंटरटेनमेंट देते थे, कॉमिक रिलीफ देते थे. तो दिस बिकेम अ वेरी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग फॉर्मेट. एंड इंटरलूड्स ही बाद में जाके एक फुल फ्लेजेड एंटरटेनमेंट प्रोग्राम में, जिनमें कोई मोरालिटी टीच नहीं हो रही है, जिनमें कोई बाइबल की बातें नहीं बताई जा रही, कोई रिलीजियस एंगल नहीं बताया जा रहा है, बट purely solely entertainment. And that was why, because interlude का एक link हो गया था. So the play, the 4 pp play features a palmer, pardoner, apothecary and peddler. Okay, so you can see the 4 pp. Okay, so इसी piece से नाम से 4 characters हैं. It's a very funny kind of an interlude, and this paved the way for realistic comedies in the late 16th century. Then you have John Heywood other works. John Heywood के और कौन से works है? The Play of the Weather, another notable work, features Jupiter as the main character. seen as a precursor to the Jacobean mask but differs in purpose. Now, in just John Heywood, itna kyun important or famous the? Why? Because mask was another very strong development. जब धीरे धीरे ड्रामा आए, एंटरटेनमेंट आया, तो सेट्स अपने आप बनने लगे. उसके बाद अराउंड 17th सेंचुरी की बिगिनिंग में बेन जॉनसन ब्रॉट ब्यूटिफुल सेटअप्स जस्ट लाइक संजय लीला भंसाली. ओके, तो वो मास्क लेकर आ गए, वेरी ब्यूटिफुल सेटअप. और ये मास्क ना, इसका आर्किटेक्ट होता था? इनीगो जोन्स. Inigo Jones used to be the architect, and Ben Jonson used to be the one who was introducing these masks, directing the play. और sets बड़े सुंदर होते थे, spectacular. If you look at, they were spectacular, they were entertaining, fascinating. So of course एक अलग ही तरीके का charm होता था. So this was seen as a precursor to the Jacobean. So yes, John Heywood played a very important role in bringing full entertainment sort of plays, bringing mask on in the Renaissance time. So the language in this play bridges medieval and early English modern plays. So example from the play of The Weather, the speech by Jupiter reflects the transition in English language and drama. So बस मैंने एक speech डाला है, एक character किस मतलब मस्ती में, हंसी मजाक में, humorous way में क्या कहता है. And so in all things, with one voice agreeable, we have clearly finished our foresaid parliament to your great wealth, which shall be firm and stable, and to our honor fair instable. So this kind of dialogues, witty, funny, ये सारे जॉन हेवुड करते थे. एंड दिस एक्चुअली जॉन हेवुड हैज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल, इज अ वेरी बिग लिंक फ्रॉम द मोरालिटी प्ले to the full-fledged Elizabethan drama. Then moving ahead to the next one, you have development of drama before Shakespeare. So early Tudor drama, Fulgens. अब हम लोग देखते हैं कि क्या क्या ड्रामा था जब पहले आया था. तो yes, talking about this, full and Lucrece 1497 by Henry Medewall. This is considered one of the most successful early Tudor plays. Okay, so Fulgen and Lucrece, a very famous play, it was entertaining. So this was by Henry Medewall. Then comes Ralph Royster Doyster. ये बहुत funny play था. Nicholas O'Dall is regarded as the first English comedy. तो Nicholas O'Dall एक first English comedian playwright. Okay, and उनका play Ralph Royster Doyster 1552 is considered one of the most important and one of the most famous works. Okay, and then you have Gorboduc. Now this was a comedy and this was a tragedy. Gorboduc was a very sad tragedy by Thomas Norton and Thomas Sackville, and this was about two brothers, Ferrex and Porrex, killing each other. And when Porrex killed Ferrex, then the mother got very angry and the mother killed Porrex. And this is how this entire everyone dies in the play, and ultimately this is how the play ends. So it's a very tragic ending of the play. And then Gamma Gurton's Needle introduced a farce within a relatable domestic setting. So this was basically a domestic farcical play. Okay, the first play जो कि domestic setting पे humorous play पे बात करता था. So this was development of drama before Shakespeare came up on the stage. Then we have, coming ahead to moving to the next one, evolution of English drama. Now early English plays moved beyond direct translation of classical text. So सिर्फ classical text के translations नहीं हो रहे थे, but despite classical influences, English characters and settings became very prominent. So English, अब हम लोग जैसे बात करते हैं English identity की, English national identity form हो रही थी, तो of course English issues पे, English concerns पे, जो भी England में concerns हो रहे थे उस पे बात होने लगी. So Gorboduc replaced rhymed verse with blank verse, setting a standard for later plays. So this became important. Then you have classical influence in English literature. Now, yes, there was a very strong classical influence. Why? Because plays जो थे, पहले Greek, Latin, Roman plays बहुत मशहूर थे. तो धीरे धीरे England ने, English playwrights ने उसी को adapt किया. So why will not they talk about the classical dramas? So classical Greek and Latin literature shaped the English drama from Chaucer to the 20th century. However, English drama was gradually moving away from classical models. So around 1590 radical shift हुआ जब धीरे धीरे classical dramatics से लोग move होने लगे. Three major works reflected this shift. The Spanish Tragedy by Thomas Kyd. Now remember Thomas Kyd, ये कौन थे? University wit. Cambridge, Oxford के पढ़े हुए थे. So Spanish Tragedy. Okay, ये बहुत ही it was a very very gruesome tragedy again. A lot of bloodshed happening on the stage, a lot of brutal murders happening. So Spanish tragedy, and you know what? Later, Hamlet was inspired by Spanish tragedy. You know, Hamlet Shakespeare का उससे Spanish tragedy काफी inspired था. Anyway, so the Spanish tragedy by Thomas Kyd, this became a very different from the classical work. The Comedy of Errors by William Shakespeare, this was based on Plautus, and tragedies of Christopher Marlowe, they all were breaking the classical conventions. Okay, ये आपने अलग entertainment format पे थे, and they all were breaking the classical conventions. Then moving ahead to the next one, the Spanish tragedy by Thomas Kyd. Now talking about Spanish tragedy, this is an important play and one of the first great revenge tragedies. मतलब this entire tragedy was based कि मुझे बदला लेना है, revenge लेना है. So features long monologues, their characters who come, they are in a very tragic state, they give you huge dialogues, huge monologues, and intensity and violent climax. Hieronymus, जो उनका Hieronymo जो character उसमें जो grief होता है for his murdered son is a key moment in the play. Okay, very much similar to Hamlet, Shakespeare's Hamlet. Now Christopher Marlowe's influence. Christopher Marlowe Oxford के थे, Cambridge के थे, University with थे. He was very knowledgeable. He had great classical knowledge, and he used this classical knowledge to create powerful heroic verses. बहुत ही powerful dialogue delivery होती थी इनके characters की, बहुत अच्छे dialogues होते थे, blank verse में लिखते थे. So he wrote an extravagant and subversive style. Major works, of course, Tamburlaine the Great, a hero obsessed with world domination, The Jew of Malta, and Dr. Faustus, and of course Edward II. 4 plays लिखे थे and बहुत ही famous हुए थे, still relevant and still is talked about. He lived a very short life. He was killed in a brawl, and he had a very short life, but in that short life only, he became very famous as a very established dramatist of that period. Okay, now themes, Christopher Marlowe के themes क्या होती थी? The dangers of limitless ambition. Okay, so of course the ambition was limitless in his plays. उसके हर play में एक vice extreme level पे होती थी. Yeah, somebody was all about ambition, कोई character was all about money, some character was all about power. So yes, every play had a certain vice, you could say, that used to be so excessive in nature that used to be the cause of the downfall. So religious and social conflict, the relationship between personal desire and political authority, Edward II, and yes, thirst for power and conquest was Tamburlaine the Great. Marlowe's impact on later drama, he introduced the blank verse. Now he was the one, Marlowe was so intelligent, Christopher Marlowe, that he was the one to introduce blank verse in English drama, which still many playwrights follow that. Okay, as dominant form in English drama created complex conflicted protagonists, explores themes of human ambition, morality, and of course fate. कि ultimately हमारे किस्मत में जो लिखा है वही होगा. And his influence can be seen in Shakespeare's early works, including Richard III and Hamlet. Okay, over here you can look at all the characters. Everybody, every play had a tragic ending. Nothing happened in Christopher Marlowe's plays. Okay. Then you have final thoughts. Marlowe's plays are full of passion, bloodshed, and intense emotion. He challenged traditional moral values and explored new ways of storytelling. Very innovative, different style. His tragic heroes reflect the Renaissance struggle for knowledge, power, and identity, and his works continue to be reinterpreted again and again by literary critics, by the modern audience, proving that yes, he is timeless. Okay. Then moving ahead to the next one, you have the Elizabethan theatre from the street to a building. Transformation of audiences. Now, how the audience transformed, let's look at that. Earlier in the 16th century, when we talk about the medieval miracle morality plays, mystery and morality plays were the ones that were famous. और जैसे मैंने बताया, कहाँ पे होते थे? They used to be in the church. Like church buildings में होते थे. Sometimes used to happen within the church. Sometimes वो church के जो बाहर का courtyard होता था वहाँ पे होते थे. And it was basically religious. Of course, it was happening within the boundaries of the church, तो religious तो होगा. So they were performed outdoors, often on wagons moving from place to place. So फिर क्या हुआ कि mystery धीरे धीरे जैसे वो church में perform होते थे, फिर audience बढ़ने लगी. ऑडियंस बढ़ने लगी और तो फिर क्या हुआ कि लॉट ऑफ पीपल स्टार्टेड गेटिंग इंटरेस्ट इन दिस. तो जो बहुत दूर के लोग चर्च नहीं आ पाते थे तो वैगन्स आने लगे, वैन्स में परफॉर्म होने लगा. दे यूज्ड टू हैव दिस एंटायर सेटअप मूविंग ऑन व्हील्स and they used to be there, and people used to perform on stage in different areas. So interludes, short dramatic pieces, they were performed for the elite and court and noble houses. But by the later part of the Elizabethan reign, theatre attracted a diverse audience from different social classes, profession, trades. So everyone, no matter what class and what region, what language you spoke, everybody was very much interested in watching the plays. Okay, so this is how the audience developed, and theatre of course became a very important and significant source of entertainment, right? Establishment of fixed theatres. अब पहले वैगन्स में थिएटर्स जा रहे हैं, जगह जगह जाके परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं. चर्च में पहले परफॉर्म होते थे, उसके बाद वैगन्स में होने लगे, अब आने लगे फिक्स थिएटर्स, प्रॉपर थिएटर्स. ओके, ये कब आए? So permanent theatres were built in London, and this was around 1570s. Okay, so most like the Globe Theatre, they were open air. Okay, so you can see, can you look at this theatre? Okay, so everyone is sitting over, it's open from above, there is no rooftop. तो पहले open air theatre होने लगे, not the closed ones, okay, because of ventilation or many other reasons. So while some, like Blackfriars, were enclosed. Now, Blackfriars were basically for royal, noble, aristocratic people who could afford expensive tickets, who wanted to have the comfort of watching the play within a confined area. So Blackfriars came later, but Globe, and Swan and Rose, all these theatres came around 1570s, 1580s, 1590s, and they all were just like open-ended, okay? So performances were held during the day without artificial lighting. There were no stage curtains. There were no elaborate props. Simple entertainment being performed on stage, and that is all, okay? So these actors wore rich costumes to enhance performance, and this became a very integral thing. Then comes your next one. And the thrust stage and audience engagement. The thrust stage extended into the audience with spectators standing on three sides, okay? So yes, look at this. Audience was covering every aspect of the stage, okay? Three sides, 1, 2, and 3. All right, so the theaters became enlarged and the thrust stage extended into the audience. Some privileged viewers sat on the stage itself. Kuch log to stage pe hi baith jate the, and this setup created intimacy between actors and the audience, making soliloquies and asides more more impactful. Okay, soliloquies hamesha asides thoda aage aake audience ko address karna hota tha, so this became more impactful, and the audiences had to use their imagination because koi prop nahi hota tha, koi set nahi hote, to jo sochna hai socho. Okay, so this was like a thing. Then comes growth of the acting profession. Now, interestingly, in the Renaissance period, even the female roles were performed by the male actors. There was no scope कि कोई भी female character, कोई असलियत में कोई female actor perform करे. This was just not possible at all. So, growth of the acting profession, this was very, very interesting. Earlier plays were performed by amateurs, okay? So yes, acting was performed by immature actors, not very refined, not very polished. Why? Because this genre was just developing. But by the late 16th century, professional acting companies started coming up under the patronage of nobles. Now, nobles started having, sponsoring, you can say sponsoring, or, kind of financially helping actor companies, and उनको चाहिए था refined actors, उनको चाहिए था थोड़ा और अच्छे से entertainment हो और मजा आए. So these were the patrons who became very important. Now these companies protected actors from Puritan position, censorship, and theatre closure due to plague. Now acting relied more on ensemble performers rather than classical scenes, and of course women were not allowed on the stage until the Restoration age, and audiences began following star actors such as Richard Burbage. Richard Burbage became so rich that ultimately उन्होंने जाके खुद का अपने एक theatre बना लिया था. And yes, of course, Will Kemp was another actor. So going ahead with this then Shakespeare and the acting company. Now, yes, Shakespeare also had his own set of actors, own acting company, and this was very important. So Shakespeare's company, the Lord Chamberlain's Men, later the King's Men. Okay, so इसकी company का क्या नाम था? Shakespeare company का the Lord Chamberlain's Men, later the King's Men. He was one of the most successful. So Shakespeare, of course, the legendary Shakespeare, he had to have a great set of actors, and that became very, very helpful for him because they acted well, because the script was well, and yes, there was full entertainment. So of course, it was a hit. So many playwrights remained financially insecure, but Shakespeare was an exception because Shakespeare was a complete super duper hit at that time. Humanism and theatre inspired by Erasmus, the Renaissance placed man at the center of the universe. Why did theatre become so important? Why? Because there were many revolutionary ideas that were being promoted, that were propagating at that time. So one idea was humanism, and humanism was that, human is at the center of the universe. The entire world is for us. Okay, so we are then, of course, we are legit. We need to have some entertainment also in our life. So inspired by Erasmus, the Renaissance placed man at the center of the universe. Individuals were seen as responsible for their own destiny, their own fate, the choices they make, the future that they have. This was all being talked about in the Renaissance period, okay? In the 1590s, Elizabeth was aging, creating uncertainty about England's future. This period saw works reflecting themes of morality, authority, and change, including Spenser's epic poetry. Okay, so of course, every literature, every drama is influenced by the monarch, the society, because it is the mirror of the society. So these things were happening. And the Reformation also made ideas of heaven and hell less certain, influencing themes of Elizabethan drama. So these were all factors that were influencing Elizabethan drama a lot. Then comes your point, Renaissance prose. Ab hum log agar dekhen that then there was no idea of novel at that time. No idea of novel. Yes, there was poetry, there was prose, there was drama, but not novel. Now, what was prose all about? So Renaissance prose, it also had classical influences, definitely. So like poetry and drama, Renaissance prose was also influenced by classical styles. Two distinct styles emerged. So two distinct prose writers who used to write very, very wonderfully, very in a very ornate, flowery style, and that was John Lyly's elaborate decorative prose, and that was known as Euphuism. In fact, अभी भी बोलते हैं कि इतना यूफिस्टिक स्टाइल में क्यों लिखा है, और ये यूफिस्टिक स्टाइल जॉन लिलीज के वर्क से याद है, इसका नाम यूफिज्म था, मतलब बहुत ही ऑर्नेट वे में लिखना, बहुत ही फ्लारी वे में लिखना. So Francis Bacon's concise and rhetorical writing essays. So yes, John Lilly and Francis Bacon, two prose writers who were really, really famous at that time, who are still read today. And Francis Bacon is known for his essays, okay? I've written over here also essays. Now let's talk about John Lilly and Euphuism. What was this prose about? Euphuism, okay, इसका नाम था Euphuism. 1578 और 1580 के बीच में इसने लिखा था. This gave its name to a highly ornate and artificial style of writing. बहुत सजा धजा के, बहुत ही थोड़ा artificial करके, थोड़ा natural नहीं था, बहुत ही ज़्यादा pretentious था, you can say ornate था. So characterized by complex sentences, elaborate comparisons, and balanced structure. Example from Euphuism, Lilly used extended metaphors, fire, hop, plant, poison to describe love's intensity. So उसने बहुत ही flowery language use करता to describe anything that was there. Then comes your next point, and that is Francis Bacon and the essay. Now, what was Francis Bacon writing? Francis Bacon was writing great essays, and that developed the English essay inspired by Montaigne. So who was the one who actually brought this genre of essay? And that was Montaigne. And Francis Bacon, a classical writer Montaigne was, Francis Bacon took the idea from Montaigne. Now Francis Bacon, he was a politician, he was into so many things, a very, very brilliant man. Now his essay style was concise, thought-provoking and rhetorical, okay, very sharp, very thought-provoking, makes you actually think. So famous for his opening line, "In of truth, what is truth?" said jesting Pilate, and would not stay for an answer, encourage critical thinking and rather than providing definite answers. Example, advancement of learning उनका बहुत famous है, जैसे कि उसका एक था, if a man will begin with certainties, okay, अगर कोई man certainty के साथ शुरू करेगा, then if a man will begin with certainty, he will end in doubts. But if he will be content to begin with doubts, he shall end in certainty. So मतलब इतना भी certain ना हो, इतना भी confident ना हो कि आगे जाके वो confidence टूट हो जाए. थोड़ा सा डरना जरूरी है कि आगे क्या पाएंगे नहीं, और उसके बाद जैसे जैसे आपको थोड़ा सा uncertain होते हो तो ज़्यादा मेहनत करते हो, right? उसके बाद सारे doubt clear हो जाते हैं. Okay, that is what Francis Bacon writing. So this was a very powerful writing that Francis Bacon was doing during that time. Then we have Bacon as a Renaissance man. He explored law. Okay, Francis Bacon. Okay, you can have a look at this handsome man, right? Francis Bacon. So explored law, science, history, politics, ethics, religion, philosophy. He wrote on everything, whatever that he wrote. So there was nothing that he did not know about. इनके जो essays थे, इसका नाम ही essays था, इनकी writing का नाम ही essays था. वे first published in 1597. धीरे धीरे expand होते गए, and he talked about practical matters, gardens, parenting, health. They were talking about philosophical themes, truth, learning, death, life, everything. Remarkably modern insights, very modern insights. Essay 47 advises face-to-face negotiation over letter writing. He says letter writing मत करो, सामने बैठ के बात करो, वो ज़्यादा powerful होता है. And essay 33 recommends treating indigenous people justly in colonialism. And Bacon's style influence, clear, logical, persuasive, in contrast to Lily's decorative prose. Okay, so Lily, ornate, decorative, no. Francis Bacon, short, concise, but very powerful, very impactful. Okay, so this was how prose was developing during that period. Then you have Bacon's essay and Renaissance thought. Many of Bacon's essays deal with key themes of the Renaissance, such as justice, such as knowledge and power, of revenge, explores the idea of revenge, a dominant theme in Elizabethan and Jacobean drama. So this is important that Bacon ने ना of revenge में भी लिखा था. अब revenge was a very dominant theme. Drama में भी, essay में भी, तो एक of revenge में तो essay बनता जरूरी था. So he argues, वो revenge के बारे में क्या कहते हैं? He argues that revenge is a dangerous, wild form of justice. कहते it's a dangerous, violent, wild form of justice. The Spanish Tragedy by Thomas Kyd, 1592, and Hamlet, 1600, by Shakespeare, both use revenge as a central theme. All right. So, Spanish Tragedy by Thomas Kyd and Hamlet by Shakespeare both use revenge as a very central theme. Then, like Hamlet, Bacon was a perpetual questioner, always seeking to challenge assumptions, and some have even speculated, though unlikely, that Bacon wrote Shakespeare's plays, highlighting their shared intellectual concerns. So, कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि Bacon was the one to write Shakespeare's play. बहुत controversial theories हैं, conspiracy theories हैं. Christopher Marlowe को भी कहते थे कि Shakespeare है. Francis Bacon को भी बोला जाता था Shakespeare है. So a lot of theories are there. Anyway, let's not get into that. So yes, Francis Bacon was a very important figure during that period, and we can see from the importance. And Queen Elizabeth के भी बहुत खास थे, because very wise advices he used to give. But बाद में इनको corruption के charge में थोड़ा सा जेल में भी डाल दिया गया था. So anyway, everything was politically charged. So Bacon's influence on scientific and philosophical thinking as well. He was into science and philosophy as well. He promoted empirical observation over rigid preconceived theories. His ideas shaped English intellectual thought profoundly. Okay, whatever his ideas were, everyone was inspired from that. Richard Hooker and religious tolerance. Now, another, when we talk about prose writing, so Richard Hooker was another one, and he was all about religious tolerance. Okay, so he wrote of the laws of ecclesiastical polity 1593 से लेकर 97, तो 5 years long text था, revise होता रहता था, he publish करते रहते थे, and a major work of Renaissance prose, advocated Anglicanism as a middle ground between Catholicism and Puritanism. So हमें पता है कि Catholicism कि तो अलग हो गया था प्यूरिटानिज्म. तो रिलीजियस होकर क्या कहते थे, दैट ये जो एंग्लिकनिज्म है, जो कि सारे इंग्लिश सिटीजन्स फॉलो कर रहे थे बिकॉज ऑफ हेनरी द एट, that is a middle ground between Catholicism and Puritans. Okay, so he was all about religious tolerance, and he promoted intellectual freedom over religious dogma. He said that दिमाग से सोचो, intellectual freedom करो, why do you have to follow the religious dogmatic ideologies, right? So his writing countered the Marplate tracts, satirical pamphlets attacking bishops. Okay, so these all factors were there. Then going ahead, books on manners and society. Now, prose writings में there were many books on manners, many books on societies. Okay, किस तरह उठना बैठना है, कैसे बात करनी है, everything was there. The Renaissance saw a surge in books on social conduct and self-improvement. Many books were there. Okay, so where the courtier, translated from Castiglione's Italian, obdies courtly behavior. The book named The Governor, it talks about the virtues like nobility and grace. And Thomas Dekker, the Gull's Horn book, satirized London's how low life and tricksters. Okay, so this was also there. Okay, about manners and all. Then Renaissance travel writing. Now travel writing also was very famous. Why? Because everybody wanted entertainment. They want to know what is happening in the East. And guys, this was a period when they exoticized East to the full extent. This was a period that कोई East चाहे गए ना हो, लेकिन सब लिखते थे और East को different ideas, okay, कि वहाँ पे जैसे जो हम लोग डिज्नी में नहीं देखते अलादीन लैम्प एंड ऑल, they used to give such exotic imagery. That was a time where travel writing really became very famous, and the East started becoming a land of exotic. Okay, so a fascination with distant land exploration grew in this period, especially with the East. So influenced by Utopia, by Sir Thomas More, a satirical vision of an ideal society, Utopia blurred the line between fact and fiction. So of course there were many travel writers, and Utopia तो बहुत पहले लिखी गई थी, and it was more about Utopia. हमें पता है a place where everything is ideal, everything is nice, everything is hunky dory, कुछ भी गलत नहीं हो रहा है, तो Utopia है. Dystopia उसका completely उल्टा होता है कि सब कुछ गलत हो रहा है. ठीक है, हम लोग Utopia Dystopia भी पढ़ेंगे eventually. Anyway, now so Richard Hakluyt, an English example. Now leader figure in travel writing was Richard Hakluyt. Richard Hakluyt was a very interesting figure and a very pioneer figure in travel writing. Why? Because he documented English voyages. मतलब वो बड़े travel करते थे, सारी अपने जितना भी journey होता था, voyages होते थे, सब document करते थे. He collected and published accounts of explorers like Drake and Hawkins. He advocated for England's colonization of Virginia. तो कॉलोनाइजेशन भी शुरू कर दिया था ब्रिटिशर्स ने ड्यूरिंग द 16th सेंचुरी. क्वीन एलिजाबेथ के टाइम पे ही कॉलोनाइजेशन शुरू हो गया था. एंड रिचर्ड हैकलिट वेरी मच फेवर. उस टाइम पे तो सब फेवर करते थे, सबको लगता था हाँ कॉलोनाइजेशन करना बहुत अच्छी बात है. एनीवे, हिज वर्क इन्फ्लुएंस शेक्सपियर्स द टेम्पेस्ट एंड सैमुअल पर्चार्स हिज असिस्टेंट. सैमुअल पर्चार्स कौन थे? इनके असिस्टेंट थे. कंटिन्यूड पब्लिशिंग वॉयजेस टू चाइना, टू जापान, एंड बाद में जाके जो रोमांटिक पोएट थे कोलरिज, वो बहुत इंस्पायर्ड हुए थे इनसे, इंस्पायर्ड बाय पर्चार्स जो उसका असिस्टेंट था, क्योंकि वो भी लिखता था. सो ही वाज इंस्पायर्ड बाय हिम एंड ही रोट कुबला खान. कुबला खान जब कोलरिज ने लिखी है, इफ एनीवन वांट्स टू रीड द पोएम, यू कैन रीड अ वेरी शॉर्ट पोएम अवेलेबल ऑन इंटरनेट. यू विल सी किस तरह से ईस्ट को एक्सोटिसाइज किया गया है. अ वेरी क्विंटेसेंशियल example of how the land of East was kind of portrayed. Okay, very different from the Western civilized cultured world that they had. Okay, then you have Sir Walter Raleigh and the New World. Now, discovery of Guiana describes El Dorado as a paradise-like land. So, Sir Walter Raleigh was another very important. In fact, he was the tutor of Queen Elizabeth I. And he was also into prose writing. For instance, the discovery of Guiana, 1596. He portrays the landscape as lush, abundant and teeming with wildlife. So, yes, so ये discovery of Guiana, travel writing का ही part है. And Raleigh was a courtier, poet, explorer, later political prisoner also. He was also imprisoned. While in prison, he wrote History of the World, and the discovery of the Americas deeply influenced European imagination, seen literature as Shakespeare's The Tempest and John Donne's Metaphor. So, explorations were happening, America was being discovered, colonization had started, and yes, this all became a very strong catalyst in the figment of imagination of people. They started imagining, they started writing, and वो कब झूठ कब सच में almost बदल गया, because whatever that they wrote about East was not true. Did we have flying carpets? Did we had jinns? No, we did not have all those. But still, इस तरह से उसको portray किया गया. Then you have Robert Greene and Shakespeare. Now, Greene, a member of the university, was a prolific writer of the romances. Now, we are धीरे-धीरे हम लोग आते हैं कि Shakespeare is the one now coming up on the stage. Now, जब Shakespeare आया, guys, इतना पुराना है, 600 years back, that literary critics अभी तक Shakespeare पे research कर रहे हैं, कुछ ना कुछ नया मिलता रहता है. But the first person ever, if we look at the documents, the first literary critic ever to talk about Shakespeare was Robert Greene, a university wit, जिसने बोला था, उसने बोला था, क्या बोला था, यहाँ पे just a second. He said, Greene was a member of the university wits, and उन्होंने A Groat's Worth of Wit 1592 में एक pamphlet आया था called A Groat's Worth of Wit, जिसमें उसने Shakespeare को बोला था that Shakespeare is an upstart crow. बोला था he is an upstart crow. ओके, मतलब कि अभी बस शुरुआती की थी लिखने के लिए, और यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स का तो कंपटीशन बन गया था. तो जब ये आया ना शेक्सपियर के सीन पे, तो यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स का बहुत ओवरशैडो कर दिया था इसने, तो यूनिवर्सिटी से बड़ा जेलस होते थे, इसको बड़ा चिढ़ते थे, तो उसने इसको अपस्टार्ट क्रो बोला था envy में, right? So unlike Greene, Shakespeare did not attend university but soon outshone his rivals, and later Shakespeare adapted Greene's romance Pandosto or The Triumph of Time into The Winter's Tale. So yes, Shakespeare had never gone to Oxford or Cambridge or any established university. So most of the Shakespeare's plays were inspired or influenced or adapted. So but his delivery was very different. Okay, then you have Thomas Nashe and the development of modern narrative. So Nashe was an experimental writer, blending different. The unfortunate traveler, जैसे मैंने बोला था ना कि guys कि novel का कोई period नहीं था, but Thomas Nashe is considered one of the first writers who ever attempted to write a novel, and that was The Unfortunate Traveler. The Unfortunate Traveler, written in 1594, is an early picaresque novel. What is a picaresque novel? A novel that is full of adventures. Okay, कि कोई कैरेक्टर है, उस कैरेक्टर को लेके बात हो रही है, तो जैसे ट्रैवल राइटिंग में ना एक फैक्ट बताते थे कि ये चीज है, पिकारेस्क नॉवल में कैरेक्टर फिक्शन होता था, लेकिन उसके बड़े एडवेंचरस होता था, कुछ ना कुछ उसके साथ होता रहता था, कभी वो वैगबॉन्ड की तरह रोड पे चल रहा है तो समथिंग हैपेंड, सो एपिसोडिक होता था और बड़ा एडवेंचरस, मजेदार, इंटरेस्टिंग, सो मिक्सिंग सटायर, हिस्ट्री एंड पैरोडी. His other works, Thomas Nashe के other works, Pierce Penniless 1592, satirized contemporary society. The Terrors of the Night was an early Gothic fantasy, and he collaborated with Marlowe, Greene, Ben Jonson for a lot of dramatic work. Okay, so this was your Thomas Nashe. Then comes Robert Burton and the Study of Human Emotion. Now, The Anatomy of Melancholy is a major early work of psychology. So, if we think that the only work was happening in literature, no, there were people who were talking about psychology as well. So, over here, if we look at this, Robert Burton was the study of human emotion, and that is the anatomy of melancholy. Melancholy मतलब क्या होता है? Melancholy एक sad emotion होता है ना, तो anatomy करना कि वो sad emotion क्यों होता है. Okay, so that is a psychological exploration. This was a major early work on psychology, explores different kinds of melancholy, including love and religious melancholy. His analysis of ambition as a great torture of the mind parallels Shakespeare's portrayal of Macbeth. Sir Thomas Browne's philosophical inquiry, religious immediacy, explores the intersection of religion. It is very witty. So, Robert Burton के बाद, anatomy and melancholy के बाद कौन आते हैं? Sir Thomas Browne and philosophical inquiry. So, yes, there was psychological inquiry, there was philosophical inquiry. Philosophical inquiry, prose writing में कौन कर रहे थे? Sir Thomas Browne. Very important, very crucial. So, he wrote Religio Medici, 1642. Much later, but this was a very significant writer. Why? Because intersection of religion and science. कैसे science और religion साथ में कहते हैं? Religio Medici. You can guess it from the name only. Religion भी, medicine भी. Okay? It is very witty. It is tolerant and introspective. And इन्होंने on burial भी लिखा था, an early archaeological study. And his idea that history repeats itself is a precursor to modern philosophical thought. Men are lived over again. The world is now as it was in ages past. So कहता है कि nothing changes. History repeats itself. That is Sir Thomas Browne. Okay, then you have. Okay, so guys, with this, I'm coming to an end. What a lovely ending that we have. History repeats itself. However, let's end with a more positive thought that, I think hard work pays. So no matter whatever you are doing, if you are going ahead with good hard work, definitely whatever you are aiming for, you will be able to get that. Okay, so with that note, guys, I'll take my leave. I'll see you again with another lecture of Renaissance. So my another batch of English literature is going to begin very soon. All those candidates, all the students who are interested in opting English literature as the optional subject, you can go ahead, check the StudyIQ website. उसमें optional syllabus, optional section में you will find my course. Go through it, explore yourself. And about me, I'm Dr. Anamta Rizvi. I did my PhD from the Department of English, Jamia Millia Islamia. Qualified my GRF. I have authored S. Shant पे अभी जो मेरी book आई है, NET English Literature, History of the Entire English Literature. And I have written in Times of India, Macmillan, and many other journals. And so guys, I have also mentored UPSC students and a lot of NET students. So yes, I am there in academics for a very long time. A lot of my students might have seen my previous videos on other edtech platforms. So yes, and if anyone has any question, do let me know in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. So I'll see you all in the classes. Wish you all the very best. Thank you.